And I think it's meaningful, as we talked about last week, that worship is a form of warfare that God has given us. And I think it is very intentional here that God uses the blowing of trumpets, which became indicative of worship, and the shout of his men as a triumph and a battle cry, to point not only to the victory here at Jericho, but the victory to come in the cross of Christ. Christ himself, who, with a calling out from the cross, gave up the ghost and secured salvation for us. This final shout is the means by which victory is attained, but they still have to go fight. Okay? This is another thing that we have to recognize here that I think foreshadows the gospel, is that they shout, and it says that God gave the city into their hands. They still had to go do something. But was the victory secured then? Yeah. As we talked about last week, when God declares something to be, it's as good as accomplished. God does not let his words fall to the ground, as we discussed at the beginning of this book and study through Joshua. God does not allow the words of his prophets or the words of his own providence and sovereign decrees to fall to the ground unaccomplished. That is the mark of a false prophet, that his words just exit into the atmosphere and fall to the ground and nothing happens. But God is a faithful God. This is again a picture that God's declaration of victory secures the outcome, even though there's still work to be done. In the same way, Jesus Christ, this is a foreshadowing of the gospel, in the same way, Jesus Christ's death accomplishes the victory of Christ, secures the salvation of the elect, and nevertheless, the elect still have to walk in faith throughout their lives. Not as a means of victory, not as a means by which they are saved, but as the result of the salvation that has been secured.